Today I'll be talking about the Sony 35mm F2.8 Zeiss Alpha, a zero intimidation, I'm not a pervert, I swear type of lens. The intimidation factor may or may not mean much to you, but from my experience it means a lot for others. Priced at $799, which is very high, you can get a faster and sharper lens for less, way less even. But you won't find any at this size. Personally, I would not buy it at this price point. However, second-hand prices are very fair due to market saturation of this older lens. I would categorize the optics as good to very good. The bokeh is decent. Sharpness is good. It has high flare resistance. Your output is very clear and contrasty. Let's go over the basics of this lens. It's very small and takes 49mm front filters. Even the hood takes a filter, however it's 40.5mm, similar to the pancake lenses. The lens is so small that even with a hood, it's only about the size of the compact G lenses. Minimum focus distance is 0.35 meters or 1.15 feet. So while it can get close, it's not quite as good as the Sony 35mm F1.8. Lens with camera can fit the very small low pro Dash.30, which I have reviewed on my channel. Very nice for an ultra portable setup. This lens comes in at around 120 grams, among the lightest lenses for the full frame E-mount system. The body and mount are steel, which makes it slightly heavier than the Samyang alternatives, which use plastic. The build quality is a mixed bag. The outer shell is rather soft steel and damages easily, like a stranger's car after my wife parks next to it. There's a big scratch and you have no clue how it happened. On the flip side, the lens is moisture and dust resistant, but lacks a weather sealing gasket. Let's go over the field of view, 35mm. Everyone should have one at one time or another. A classical prime focal length. Slightly wide standard field of view splits a 24-70 right in the middle. Due to the focal length and typical working distance, the lens tends to produce a mild perspective distortion that should not be feared but embraced. Kind of like pineapple covered pizza. Yummy. For the videographers out there, the lens can breathe quite a bit. Check it out here. What do you guys think? If you're finding this helpful so far, be sure to smash that like button. Moving on to sharpness. I have samples at f2.8, f4, f5.6, and f8. Let's take a look at center sharpness. Here we are at 100% crop. F2.8 is relatively sharp. F4 is sharper and it increases contrast. F5.6, F8, everything is good. Here we are about mid-frame. The sign, it's all around the sharpness looks good at f2.8, f4, 5.6. It doesn't really differ much. Here we are. This is practically the edge. It's not the far corners yet. The edge sharpness is pretty good. This is f2.8, f4. It definitely improves by 5.6. Just everything here is just a little bit more detailed. If you look here to here, it's not a dramatic difference when you stop it down. There is some, if you can look in this area right here, f2.8 to f4, it's just a little bit more crisper, and then it's just a little bit more crisp at f5.6, and f8 it seems to actually go down at f8. So the peak sharpness is probably 5.6. And for all the pixel peepers out there, this is the far corner. Wide open, there's quite a bit of vignetting. This is a bit darker than this frame. F4 improves it a little bit, and F4 actually improves the far corner sharpness a good amount from f2.8. 5.6 is the max. Seems the most sharp is at 5.6. F8, it starts losing it just a little bit. It's hard to tell. Use F8 if you need that depth of field. Onwards to a bokeh test, head and shoulders close up. Next is a half body shot of an angry guy. Finally, full body. How does it look? The bokeh can be slightly busy at times and produce onions. However, generally I find it pleasing. When it comes to autofocus, I thought good light was too easy for the Sony, so I performed a low light test. I'm at 1/40th of a shutter speed, ISO 6400 f2.8. The responsiveness is not ultra fast, but it seems to hang pretty well. If you must shoot in the very lowest of light, consider using supplemental lighting. At this light level, it seems that it's pushed to its limits. Next up, we'll move on to flaring. Wide open, it seems very flare resistant. There is a bit of flaring once stopped down. Here I am at F8. And then I move to F16. And it looks pretty good. Next up are the Sunstars. I think they're nice, could be better, and they're not bad. This is at F11. You'll need to stop down further for a more dramatic effect. Onwards to LoCA and CA. In this photo, the Bokeh CA, the green outline can be seen. This is typically the worst case scenario. General CA is well controlled, but some exist as seen here. Some final thoughts on the Sony 35mm F2.8 ZA. It may not be the best looking lens, not the highest performing or best priced. What you get is a lens with great optics, high contrast, clear imagery, and more often than not, a nice moderate amount of bokeh in a tiny package. And no, that's not what she said. This is a lens that transforms your camera kit into an ultra portable setup, and you become part of the crowd rather than a spectator. If you don't care for the full metal build, whether ceiling or first party, the Samyang 35mm F2.8 is an inexpensive alternative. The 40mm Compact G is another alternative which offers higher build quality, reportedly good optics, a lower price, and larger by 50 grams. Overall, I enjoy this lens very much due to its tiny size and great optics. I would highly recommend the lens if you can grab it for the right price. If you enjoyed the review, be sure to pound that like button and subscribe to my channel for future reviews. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the review and take care.